Erie needs. I'm very excited to welcome Jenessa Norton. She is an entrepreneur and business facilitator. She's got quite the story. We're gonna have her tell it for you here. But she works with Bridgeway Capital as well as NWPA Made, and she's the business support coordinator for the Erie Downtown Development Corporation. Jenessa, thank you so much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
I said we ran into each other down at what was kind of a cool little event there where we were celebrating what the port had accomplished. Mm-hmm. And you know, you have these large organizations and small ones that are getting these wins. Mm-hmm. But in the accumulation, it's all about Erie winning from what they do. Reflect on that a second.
Yeah, I mean, what a cool thing to witness Carmeuse get a national recognition. I mean, shout out to them and all of the work that they're doing down there, as well as the port, who is going to be expanding their footprint down there to give them a little bit more room. You saw how big those blades are. They definitely need some space. But yeah, I mean, Erie is really booming right now. It's a great time to be a business consultant. I must say, I'm post-COVID. It's a great place to be. Businesses are thriving, businesses are scaling, which is a really beautiful thing to do. So when we look at like business development in general, it's not always about like how many businesses should we create this year, right? It's often about how many businesses survived past 3 years, how many businesses made it to that $1 million revenue, how many businesses hired those additional 5 people, or contributing further to GDP. So everything seems very on the up and up. It's an exciting time for Erie.
All right, let's start with your origin story. How, did you think about business as a young girl, or how did this all develop up? Where'd you go to school? Where'd you grow up and all that?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Rochester, Buffalo area, moved here really young. I consider myself an Erieite, truly. Been here middle school, went to McDowell, graduated from McDowell High School, stayed here, met my husband here. So he graduated from Penn State. I graduated from Mercyhurst. My background is finance. So my major was in finance, minor is in accounting. I always knew from a very young age that I wanted to work with money. Saved at an extremely early age as well. My mom worked in banking, so financial literacy was taught to me. I was very, very lucky. And that's why I'm so passionate about financial literacy and getting that information out to the community, because it is not taught in schools. And if I did not have a mom in banking, I don't know where I would be right now. But I was able to buy my first property at 19. Wow. I saved and saved, started my business right out of college, been consulting. I did work in corporate finance for a little bit, realized very quickly that I wanted my own thing. And I think I could really, truly make an impact with the knowledge that Mercyhurst taught me and also my lived experiences. So when COVID, of course, hit, I saw what that had done to our community. I don't think any community anywhere was truly ready for such an impactful thing like COVID, but Erie really wasn't. Wow. Businesses took a quite big hit. And it was actually around that same time, me and my husband were looking at Raleigh, North Carolina. And I kind of paused for a second. I said, wait, I think I can do something here. I think I can make a difference. I think I can, offer my services to my community and like help them rebound. And luckily I have the best husband in the world. I'm very biased in that. And he said, go do it. And I'm lucky to still be doing it today. So
why don't you maybe correct or affirm a meme that I had heard that something like a third of our small businesses in Erie either went out of business or greatly were debilitated during COVID. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Oh my gosh.
I saw everything from closures. People were borrowing from their 401ks, their kids' college savings. It was a really scary time. I mean, the entire country is shut down from every level. So it was a scary time for businesses. Not only was it a scary time, but it also allowed people to take a step back and take a look. They had all this extra time to take a look at their business and their finances and, the way they were viewing financial literacy. And so there's both a pro and a con to what COVID brought. I think, unfortunately, business owners did suffer quite a bit, but it also lit a fire into the creatives community, and it allowed them to take the time to say, wait, I might be able to create something cool too. Now that I have a little bit more time, I'm not going to work, I'm working from home, let me see what I can create. So although it did hurt businesses, it also built businesses as well. It gave them the opportunity to build and create.
Do you think that there were several businesses that maybe were just not making, or just edging it out, but because of the immediacy of the moment of getting that widget out the door, they don't really reflect on the kind of the depth that they should know about their business, whether it's their income statement or what have you. Again, as a finance person, you naturally gravitate to it, but if you're a widget person, that might be I don't want to spend any time on that,
Yeah, I agree. I always joke that when people want to start a business, the first thing they go to is like, let's create a LLC and a logo. And it's like, let's back up a little bit. Are you solving a problem that is not already being solved? Is there already a solution in the market? Is there a demand from the customers that you are trying to attract? Is there a market at all? So I love to take a step back and look at it from that standpoint, because you're right. A lot of businesses that did suffer from COVID, I think, had that true reflection period of, wait, am I doing this right? Do I have enough diversified income streams to make this sustainable? Were my, expenses a little too high? Do I need to increase my payroll, decrease my payroll? Unfortunately, people didn't have access to all of that different type of knowledge. So I really wanted to bring the broader strategy and what it is to do financial and strategic planning for these small businesses to Erie, because I don't think a lot of them were doing it beforehand.
I would imagine you're a truth teller.
I get in trouble for that sometimes.
I was going to say, do you get grief? It's like that you're telling hard truths that, let's just face it, a lot of, especially mom pops, don't want to hear.
Yeah. So I obviously work out of Radius with Sean Verdorco, and his favorite phrase is, we never drag dead horses across finish lines. But I think I have a way of communicating what works and doesn't work. At the end of the day, business is business, but business is personal to me. I mean, especially in Erie, when we're dealing with small businesses, this is their life. This is their livelihood. This is their retirement. This is their kids' college savings. So you have to take a personal approach to it. I believe that not all businesses are meant to go to market, but maybe we can tweak a few things to make it a little bit more marketable. So a lot of people that come to me with ideas, I usually just start with a sustainability or feasibility study. Like, hey, if you're starting a business off of this trend, because that's what's trendy right now, like, what does this look like in 3 years? So yeah, sometimes you do have to have hard conversations. It's not always, hey, I don't think you should be in business, though. It's usually, hey, I think we should, maybe scale back operations in this aspect, or are you sure you need 2 people for admin? Let's go over their skill sets. Can we optimize our employees and have them doing social media as well? Or do we need to maybe let someone go? Do we need to take a look at, the food source that we've been using for 5 years? Like, hey, I know we have a great relationship and we give their grandma a Christmas present every year, but is there a better vendor we can go with? So it's not always like, hey, I think we should stop. It's usually like, let's pivot. And some people love change, some people don't. So I'd like to think I understand different types of communication styles and I fit with different types of personalities. Some people want that good, hard truth. Some people need it in a little softer way. And as long as it gets done, that's all. So I will say it in any voice, any way, any way possible to get through to them.
Would you say that, for the most part, the biggest issue that a small business in a smaller town like Erie has is lack of capital, lack of kind of cash flow, having enough at the end of the month to just feel confident and secure. Is that accurate or no?
I would say it's a mix. I think the thing that people love to go to is, small businesses lack access to capital. And I think that is true, especially for the minority community. Okay. There is still that redlining there. However, it's not just access to capital, it's also capital readiness, right? So there's several things that go into what makes a good loan. And I'm lucky to be contracted through Bridgeway Capital because I have access to a CDFI. And I truly understand.
What is that again? I'm sorry.
A CDFI, yeah. Community Development Financial Institution.
Okay, so that's what Bridgeway is.
That is what Bridgeway Capital is.
For building communities with finance. Okay, gotcha.
Now, every bank has to give back to their community in some form or fashion, but Bridgeway Capital is a little bit different, where their banking and financial institution is built to serve the community. They don't have like checking accounts and investment accounts where they're built to serve the community. But through my work with them, as well as several other banking partners, Erie Federal Credit Union, phenomenal, work with them every day. Erie Bank, love them. Again, it's not just about access to capital. It's what capital readiness really, truly looks like. Do you have the financial projections in place to repay this loan? Do you have the credit score? I know you want a $150,000 loan, but what are the true use of funds and how does that generate revenue in the future? It's helping people break down those little individual things so they don't just go to an underwriter and get a denial. I want to set you up for true success, for an approval. I never send someone to a bank if I think that they're going to get denied. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of strategy, taking a look at cash flow to really get that official approval.
Jenessa Norton's with us. We're going to take our first break. It goes fast with a conversation like this. We're tied in with entrepreneurship, making that idea come to life and keeping our small businesses growing. And what I love how she's talking about scaling so much. How does that company become 5x larger? More in a bit.
Look at you.
TalkErie and the Joel Natale Show. Jenessa Norton's with us here. We're talking entrepreneurship. And I want to continue with this, Jenessa, of capital readiness. And again, let's what we've heard about the entrepreneurial ecosystem is, hey, you got an idea on a napkin. The first thing you do is maybe go to the idea lab at the library, or enter into, what do you call it? The beehive or something like that, and develop the idea. When do you step in at that part of the kind of the really startup cycle to talk about readiness and getting your financial life in order?
Yeah, so I like people to usually have their idea, their market research, their R&D, their business plan kind of developed before they stop with me. Obviously, through Bridgeway Capital, I'm happy to help anyone build a capital stack. We have access to technical assistance dollars, lending options, as well as grants. So utilizing all of those different funds together sometimes makes sense. But really, like, what I enjoy and do most of the time day to day is strategy. So 9 times out of 10, I'm working with mid-stage businesses that have already been in business for a few years, and are just struggling to get from point A to point B. So it's a lot of financial analysis, which I enjoy. I love working through numbers. I believe a lot of the answers are always going to be in your numbers. It's just understanding how to read the 3 main profit and loss, balance sheet, and cash flow statement. A lot of people will be profitable but have $0 in the bank, or they'll have $100,000 in the bank but not be profitable, and they can't understand why. So usually it's going to be in that. So I go through about 2 to 3 years, depending on how large the business is, of a full financial analysis, and then going back to that, like, feasibility, sustainability model. Is it feasible long term? And then we play around with strategy, different marketing tools, different branding tools. It's a lot of fun.
Is it inputs and outputs, I mean, that you find kind of where the holes or the leaks are in a financial picture? Like you were mentioning, maybe your food vendor for a restaurant might be just a little pricey. Maybe we can kind of spread it out a little bit. Is that the kind of thing that usually happens?
Sometimes it's in the product that they're offering or the services. I'm all for diversifying. So having different products and different services to fill different gaps, but sometimes it's too much. Sometimes
too much
being offered, and you're you don't have that niche. And with all of those different products, sometimes services, there's a lot of costs. So like we could keep it simple and just keep it on a restaurant, right? What is your best selling items? If I'm flipping through 6 pages of a menu, okay, this is over.
Not everybody can be Cheesesteak Factory, right?
Absolutely
or cheesecake, I'm sorry.
Not. Yeah. So it's like, what is your specialty, and really broadening on that. But so sometimes it is in the product that is the output. Sometimes it's the input of the various expenses, operating expenses, fixed and variable costs. Sometimes it's debt. Sometimes we have to just refinance some debts, refinance some equipment, especially a lot with my construction companies, is taking a look at those assets and the allocations. So it really ranges. But usually it can be fixed. And that's what I tell people when they come, and they're coming with all this documentations and these binders and these folders, and they feel defeated. I just give me a little bit of time. I guarantee you I can find what's going on, and we can get this fixed.
Have you ever had to tell an owner, dude, you're pulling too much money out of this for your salary? I mean, like, have they ever had to buckle down and say, you can't buy that bass boat?
It's funny you said that, because I had this conversation earlier with an S Corp who was applying for a rather large loan. And when you're dealing with that, sometimes the numbers can be hidden in payroll and what owners are being paid. Yeah, I mean, sometimes, because there's a fine line between using funds for revenue for retained earnings and then for owner's draw. I will say, I don't come across where, owners are paying themselves an astronomical amount. But if you are going after a rather large debt service, we need to have a conversation about payroll and what's sustainable for the business.
Wow. Can you weigh in on, the sectors that seem to be really, humming right now? Like, what You mentioned the creative community. You also mentioned AI. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the creative community with the CEA grant that Erie Arts and Culture had for many years has really like given the creative entrepreneurs a platform to have legitimate businesses. I think we live in such a creative community. We have to be paying attention to the artists, the creators, the musicians, the producers. They have something to offer too. Now the CEA, Bridgeway Capital will actually hold a CEA grant. That's going to go live in October. I'm super excited to help deploy that grant to creative entrepreneurs because I think it's helpful. AI, of course, is the hot topic that everyone is talking about. Everyone from like AI business solutions and SaaS to you just utilize an AI for businesses. So I would say technology, and where, tech and AI kind of cross hairs is with Ben Franklin Technology Partners. I was able to be a judge for their Techcelerator.
This last one here?
Yeah.
It seemed like there were several AI companies in there.
There were multiple. And actually the winner, well, we gave it away to two, but the main winner was a company that focused on AI solutions for lawyers. So it was bringing in the tech element because they were creating a tech product that was ran with AI. So it's really cool as AI continues to develop and get into these different markets. You constantly see people trying to use it to create solutions for their business, but also to create a solution-based business.
Wow. The should that be there are people that are budding entrepreneurs. They just want to do something of themselves. A lot of times they'll buy into a franchise or whatever, or they'll see a TikTok that says these are 10 businesses you can join. It never fails that all the different ones are all the same, whether it's power washing or different things, right? But do you think that AI is becoming something, or do you have to be really deep into that kind of business?
Have to be deep. And I really want to say this loudly and recommend you really have to be an AI expert. Anyone can build an AI solutions-based platform at this point using AI itself. So the typical car wash, vending, laundromat, vending. I don't think there's as much of revenue on the table for like AI, like just quickly built up AI-based businesses.
Yeah, I mean, people are finding solutions in some of these areas here. We're talking to Jenessa Norton. We're gonna pivot and maybe give you some steps and some pointers on how you can access this entrepreneurial ecosystem, and what some of the special things that the EDDC is getting involved with here in this space where we're calling the Erie's Renaissance, and we're in the center of it here at 5th and State. It's TalkErie and the Joel Natale Show. Talking entrepreneurship on the Joel Natale Show, live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here, also on Facebook and YouTube. Jenessa Norton is with us here. We're glad that she is. She is from Bridgeway Capital. She is the business development advisor there, also working on NWPA Made. That goes to that creative space there. Also, the business support coordinator of the Erie Downtown Development Corporation. And Jenessa, that's where I want to pick it up and talk about you know how you work here in the EDDC space and what kind of value add that the EDDC through you are giving to these businesses around here.
Yeah, so I'm very lucky to be able to be downtown and work with downtown businesses. I do believe like having a vibrant downtown really relates to a vibrant community in general. So I'm very grateful for EDDC and Radius for bringing me on. It is a dual contract. So my office is actually in Radius, and I'm able to assist the 200 plus businesses that are right there in Radius, but also anyone within the EDDC footprint. But honestly, Drew's awesome, as we all know. He doesn't like to just stop there. Anyone below the train tracks, whether you're in the EDDC footprint, whether you're a part of Radius or not, gets any assistance. All services are free. So it's a lot of good work. And, EDDC is really lucky to have someone like Drew kind of being the visionary for this downtown development. You got a really good view of Commons, I must say. I was saying,
isn't that nuts? Yeah.
Yeah, the archway makes it, really, really real, as it's been so many years in the making. But yeah, so anyone within that footprint, really anyone downtown, gets access to technical assistance. So marketing help, business development help, financial projections, accounting, bookkeeping, tax assistance. We can assist with brand development. Gosh, I've got to be missing something, and a lot of strategy. Because again, these businesses have a really good foundation. It's like we always say, how do we take it from A to B? Yeah.
How realistic, when somebody would come to you and say, look, this is my revenue, right? I've got a $250,000 business. How do I get it to $500,000? I mean, is there a strategy? Is there proven impacts to do that 2X and then maybe that 5X or something? I don't know.
Oh yeah. And that is what makes my job so fun, is creating solutions to solve problems just like that. That is what 80% of my meetings are, is how do I get to this next step? So the solution of course ranges. It could be multiple things that are one solution, or it could just be one true fix. It is different from business to business.
Sure.
But it's the fact that Erie, and especially the downtown corridor, is growing. It's possible. It really does feel possible to be able to 2X, 3X, 5X your business in a matter of 2 years. Now, change isn't going to happen overnight, right? But if you can follow a strategic plan, if you can follow a financial plan in a matter of a few years, it is possible.
What is some of the secret sauce? Kind of tell some stories, if you would. Is it usually a marketing thing? Is it usually? I mean, I always heard everything starts with sales. Is like actually maybe sell some more, maybe talk to some more prospects. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it can be marketing. I think, as we kind of just talked about, AI is great, right? But there is such a thing as AI slop, and the algorithms aren't being too kind to AI slop right now. So it's being able to utilize AI for strategies and ideas of what to market, but maybe like lay off the AI flyers, utilize some like own homegrown storytelling. That is what gets people connected. They want to support a business that they feel connected to, that can really speak to them. So it's more than just, hey, AI, create me a, promotion for Monday. Why are you don't just let AI make the decision for you. You think of what you think you need to promote at this moment, and then utilize AI to kind of help you strategize. But as far as the secret sauce, like we talked about before, it's usually in the numbers. So it just takes a good deep dive into some financials to find out where the profit leakage is. Sometimes it is in marketing, like we just talked about. And other times it's in strategy. So not in financials, not in marketing. Sometimes it can be in like strategic operational planning, making sure that the staff and your tech stack and your POS and the way that everything talks to each other talks in an efficient way. People are constantly leaving money on the table because they're spending so much time doing the same ordinary tasks. Business owners are not optimizing in the way that they should be. That's time. Time is money. So
have you encountered a lot of folks with old tech?
Oh yeah. POS systems without a screen.
Right, yes.
Sometimes it just needs an upgrade, and instead it's also like, okay, we had a really good month. How can we reinvest this back into the business? That's another question I get quite a bit. Or, hey, I got this rather large grant. What's the best way I can invest this into my business to make sure that revenue can come from it? But yeah, lots of old POS systems, a lot of very old SOPs, so standard operating procedures. People not having like systems and workflows, like they're still doing pen to paper bookkeeping. I've seen like the tangible book, and
like an actual bookkeeping book.
Like an actual bookkeeping book. And although I love it, I'm very pen to paper myself. QuickBooks is pretty. We have QuickBooks, we have FreshBooks, we have Xero. Like, let me show you the way.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. What I'm not hearing you say so much, because you work for Bridgeway Capital, that there's this, you would go really far, but you just can't get capital. You're saying that the capital is there if your numbers are right and your plan is right. Am I on that?
Yeah. So it depends also what stage your business is in. So in general, banks are very wary to lending to startups or high-risk businesses such as like a restaurant. That is just the way of the game. It has always been that way. So you have to have that kind of understanding as you go into your official ask. But there are other organizations like the Redevelopment Authority, right? Ethan Bennett at the Redevelopment Authority, who can help come in with like a small working capital bridge loan to help do like an official capital stack. Now, if we're talking something that is tied to a tangible asset, like a commercial property or a very large equipment purchase, those loans are typically a lot easier to close on.
Interesting.
But if you're going to a bank and saying, hey, I need startup fund, or hey, I need working capital for 6 months of rent or payroll, you need to have a really strong plan as to how you are going to pay that back as a startup.
You were mentioning that part of your goal is to expand opportunities for minority BIPOC communities. And of course we talked to Kyra Taylor a lot. There seems to be folks in that space that are driving things. Is it working, I guess?
It is working, and it's good. There's a lot of different opportunities out there for minority businesses right now that I love to touch on. Obviously, Eries Black Wall Street is a great tool. I'm actually president of the board, so
sweet.
I'm involved with everything. I really, truly believe in their new Wall Street ventures and their pathway to homeownership. I'm heavily involved in both
Can
of those
you go
programs.
through those real quick? And again, just so that people understand what's out there. Yeah.
Yeah. So New Wall Street Ventures, they'll have a cohort next year. But right now, you can really contact them at any time to set up a startup meeting or a strategy meeting. It is a rather longer meeting. I'm not going to lie. That's just the way that they have their system set up. But you leave with a tangible, like a good business plan that is thought out with the both of you. So it's not just made by a consultant. It's made in conjunction with you. And then Pathway to Homeownership is, of course, our annual homeownership initiative. Usually it ranges anywhere from 5 to 8 people a year that get $10,000 in down payment assistance. Wow. This year it will be 5, so $50,000 will go out. We have, I believe, grown minority entrepreneurship by like 80% or something insane.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy what what can be done when you can educate and assist. So through Pathway to Homeownership, obviously you do get that down payment assistance, but you also get the knowledge. So I do the very first class in the 7-class series, and it is, are you financially ready to buy? So I like to do the very first class myself because I like to keep it real with people right then and there. I tell the horror, again, I bought my first property at 19. And I love to tell the horror story of like how my water tank went within the first 3 months. And, I had the emergency fund, set up for that, but things can go wrong. And, this is what you need. And this is what you need to be able to even purchase a home. So those are the 2 pillars that Erie's Black Wall Street does a lot, but those are the 2 that I'm most actively involved with and believe a lot in.
I know this is not part of your wheel, your core here, but we were looking at Zillow the last night with my kids, and it's like I'm looking at what my house has done in the last 20 years. It barely had any appreciation until after COVID, and then it shot like a rocket. This has got to make it really difficult for new home buyers to jump into the market. The prices are so, I'm not going to say they're out of whack because maybe they're closer to what they should be, but they're nothing like, what Erie traditionally was.
Not at all. And I usually tell people, if you don't need to buy right now, don't. There's others that will say, hey, buy up as much as you possibly can. But you're right, things are expensive. And I think a lot of people are getting into lifestyle creep, where they've maybe been in, their first starter home for a little bit and they want this bigger home because they got that raise. And I heavily suggest against lifestyle creep. You don't need the big house because you have the big paycheck. Like, why don't you retire early, sort of thing.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, affordable housing is also very, very important to me. I was project manager for an initiative called the Cornerstone Community Land Bank that Infinite Erie was a big part of. And it's, as there's, Best has that new project going up, there's so much different initiatives happening kind of across the city, but making sure that we can put Erieites in the homes first is, something I was just actually talking to the mayor about, because we do have a lot of developers from out of town coming up.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, they're buying up single family?
They are. They're buying up a lot of things, but we do have a lot of blighted properties. So, hey, let's get the development going. But I'd love to give our local development, especially like our local minority development organizations and corporations, like an opportunity into this sort of boom. And again, make sure people are financially set up for their first order home and sustainably stand up. So do you know how to maintain the home? What all goes into your escrow? A lot of people think, oh, my mortgage payment is just my mortgage. Well, what's that mortgage payment comprised of? So I love housing.
Oh, do you? Oh, well,
yeah.
Then I'll ask another question then. And this is one that truly I don't understand. Like, I grew up, with Baldwin houses all over the place that were built after the war. Why don't you think that we have like a syndicate builder to come to our market and build at scale 50 homes that might go for $250, $300 a piece?
I think it's coming.
You do? I
do think it's coming. I think it's already happening to a certain standpoint, just on a smaller scale. Okay. Like Build CDC is really interested in like doing the different modular housings on different plots of land. We definitely have the land, not in the city though. So I think that's another thing that people don't understand is we're also dealing with a housing shortage. We don't have enough. And people often want to talk about workforce and like attracting, with a teacher thing that just hit the news. Everyone's like, well, why don't we go out to other communities and where are they going to live? We have a housing shortage. We don't want to push them out into the county. So it's finding that like common ground of like, maybe we don't redo a blighted property. Maybe we just tear the whole thing down and start over, or put two property or 2 houses like modular housing on a space. But I do think those type of developers are coming. And I know even locally, they're having conversations. It's just teaming up together to do it, getting a little less on like the apartment complex and more on the housing. And the Community Land Trust they have, I believe, a 1.3 million appropriations down from Fetterman. So that's for 5 or 6 newer builds.
Okay.
And those will be smaller, like first time homes.
And what do you think a first-time home's going to go for these days? Couple hundred or more?
Yeah, I would say where like the model that we were trying to create is right around 120 to 150.
Wow.
But I do believe that a first-time home should be under 200,000, especially in Erie, Pennsylvania. We have to give people at least
a little bit of a chance. Yeah.
I think my first one was like 85. That same property is 230,000.
Yeah. It's astounding. It's astounding. All right. I've been saving the best for last. We do need to talk about how these entrepreneurs, if they want to grow 2x, 3x, 5x, will have the workers to do that. What are your thoughts as an entrepreneurial expert on workforce? What do we need? What's missing? What do we have that's working?
I think everyone that works in economic development will tell you we have a serious lack of skilled workers. So skilled laborers, I challenge people to get involved with the ECAT program of the construction trades. Yeah. As all of this develop, I mean, you can see Flagship Commons out your mirror, right, out your window. As all of these development projects, whether it's housing, whether it's residential, whether it's commercial, they need developers, they need plumbers, they need electricians, so we have a huge need as we continue to grow Erie from a development standpoint for those skilled laborers. We also have, like we were talking about customer service, I have people that have restaurants, that have dental offices, that have insurance, that just need someone to honestly answer a phone.
Wow.
So from every level to like highly skilled people, lawyers, to people within the construction trades, down to just servers, customer service, admin people, virtual assistants.
I would think that people like Jeremy Young at Federal well, I mean, in Value Momentum, these knowledge-based workers, I bet you they have openings, I would think.
I believe they do have a few, but jobs like those fill relatively quickly.
Because they're a national scope, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There you go. If we can get them to move to Erie and have a decent place to live.
In a downtown to visit, in a beautiful waterfront to hang out at, we can keep, we can retain, we can attract.
For professionals like you, Jenessa, is it a lot like that? Not only do you have to worry about the business plan and the financials of a business, but all of this other stuff in the ecosystem of housing, how good the schools are, all of these things that lead to a vibrant economy. That I'm sorry, I think probably in Charlotte they've got it covered, or Austin they have it covered, but here in Erie, it's a point of improvement. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say every community has their struggles.
Okay.
So I don't like to just plague Erie as, we do have a multifaceted issue in many different sectors, but we're heading in the right direction. Yes, it is hard to attract families and individuals from larger cities that maybe have a little bit more there to come to Erie and put their kids in the public schools and start a business and reinvest back into the community. But it's not saying that it's not being done. And being able to have my office at Radius, people pop up all the time. I just met a guy from Nashville who's creating this really cool culinary tool. He's been like a chef all across the world, and he's creating this like brand new, it's such a cool idea, culinary tool. Loves Erie, cannot wait to move him and his family to Erie.
Wow.
So I think it's happening slowly, but when those types of individuals and families do come, we need to show them what Erie really can be, and that it's in a really kind of cool time where things are moving. They're not moving as fast as everyone would like, but we are looking really good now than we did a few years ago. And I think the change of leadership from government to economic development organization, like everyone is working together really well for the first time, at least in my adult life. So Erie feels like it is on the up and up. We just need to be able to show that as we are in this weird changing process.
So you have to consult the community to say, hey, let's get the word out as powerful and effective as we can be.
As best as I can. I think the city, that's truly their job.
Right.
But
I find it funny that the Jefferson Civic Leadership came up with the same kind of thing of like, we have a messaging problem. We don't have an actual issue, but our messaging both to ourselves and to the outside world could be improved.
Actually, one of my best friends like spearheaded the last JES cohort. She presented too as well. I just want to name Teresa Laird. She is definitely on the up and up. She's killing it right now. But yeah, we talked a lot. I helped her strategize quite a bit for that cohort. And we do have a messaging problem. I love Erie apparel, don't get me wrong, but It's Okay to Love Erie, not a fan. Never really have been a fan. But right. I can tell you that the city is looking at branding and messaging right now.
Good.
To track both, to retain families, but also tourism. So more to come.
All right. More to come with Jenessa Norton. Thank you so much for taking the time. So great to hear from an expert in the sea that our entrepreneurial ecosystem is continuing to grow and expand. Thanks so much.